Hello, this is Arthur Bush. You're listening to Radio Free Flint. Thanks for joining us. My guest today is Marquise Gray, former Michigan State University star and a professional basketball player. During his time at Michigan State, he followed in the footsteps of the Flintstones in 2000. He has a string of success in basketball, and now he's extending that success to working with kids in the Flint community. During our interview, he mentions that he sees himself in each of these boys. Marquise Gray is a winner in the game of basketball, and he's a winner in the game of life. And I'm honored to have Marquise Gray as my guest. I have with me today the pride of Flint and Beecher, Marquise Gray. Welcome, Marquise.
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing good. It's an honor to see you again. I haven't seen you in many years.
Many years.
And we've both moved on, other things. Tell us a little bit about what it was like to play for Tom Izzo at Michigan State University.
You know, I get that question a lot. The thing that that comes to mind when asked, though, is you learn how to be mentally tough. And not just in basketball, but coach taught life lessons. And he still teaches life lessons. He teaches how to fight through adversity. He teaches about the things that will happen and become after basketball. And those lessons carry you throughout your life. So, you know, I was lucky and fortunate to play for, a Hall of Famer coach like that, to still be able to eat from the seeds he planted in an 18-year-old kid, almost being 40 to being 40 now and still being able to find strength and encouragement through those lessons I learned from him.
Now, you had quite a successful high school career at Beecher.
Yep.
And your high school career included some terrific honors. You were Player of the Year in Class C, according to the Associated Press. You were whatever the dream team is for the Detroit Free Press.
Yeah.
I always wondered, don't they ever have like a dream team basketball game where they pick all these people and say, hey, why don't you guys want to play down here in the gym somewhere?
No, they started it maybe 2 or 3 years after I graduated, but during my era, they didn't do that then. You just got nominated on the team. What's funny about my high school basketball career is that a lot of people don't realize is that people see my size and stature now and they just automatically assume I always been like that. But, I'm the youngest of 6 boys who 2 of them I grew up within the household. And so I was a little runt, man. I had to fight for everything that I got. And so I kind of carried that mentality onto the court.
You were scrappy.
Yep.
Now, Flint Beecher, did you play for the legendary Moses Lacey?
Absolutely. I played for Moses Lacey. His brother Solomon Lacey was the coach, but Moses Lacey was at every practice. We kind of were more inclined to listen to him than we were Coach Saul. There are so many things I can say about Lacey, but one of the main things is just him being embodying of what a lot of us kids needed at that time, and that's some tough love and father.
Now, there's another guy at Beecher. I wondered if you could make a comment about him. Was Joe Franklin?
Joe L. Franklin. Wow. Yep.
There's a Beecher legend for you.
A Beecher legend. The Franklin family, the Franklin brothers. But so Coach Frank, man, I remember being a 7th grader and one of my very first introductions to him, he always used to carry around, like before the games, I used to see him give the players grit powder. He would put it in their hands. He also was a ref at that time when the Little League program out in Beecher was still going on. So he ref one of my games. He also coached one of my older brothers. So we're in the game and he's reffing and he made a call I didn't like. I didn't yell or scream or do anything at him. I pat him on his behind and said, good call. And he gave me a tech. So that was my first introduction.
Don't mess with the referee.
Yeah.
He is a big, tall guy too.
Yep, he was, man. Moses Lacey, Coach Franklin, the Franklin brothers, another name people forget, Larry Foster. Those guys embodied what it meant to give back to the community. Vera B. Rising, Joyce Jackson, all those people who made it possible for a kid like me. Without that Little League program out here in Beecher, a lot of us would have been doing God knows what. But every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to about 3 p.m., the gym was filled with kids who had dreams and aspirations of being the next one to put on the Beecher jersey and make some noise. And so,
Yeah.
that's kind of why I do what I do, because that's the cloth that I'm cut from.
Beer B. Rice, and one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Very dear friend. And I will say this, you probably didn't see this at your age, but whenever they came, Mr. Kirkland came, Coach Kirkland from Northwestern, and some of the others, I'm trying to think Earl's last name, who was getting money for summer programs for the kids.
Yep.
What was his last name? He had
Jordan.
Yeah, Earl Jordan. A legend in Flint.
A legend.
I claim that many boys would have never made it to big time college basketball without his influence. Yeah.
And just to extend it, coach him on. Every player that ever done anything with basketball from that was maybe ending at my era came through Coach Amon's FA program, Flint affiliation.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that, the AAU teams. Vera B, Mrs. Franklin, and others. Coach Kirkland, who I worked with many years, tried to get him some money for his programs in the summer months, well before all this. I mean, we had good players from Flint, but we grew big players because we put money into it. At the County Board of Commissioners, we would get money for these programs. I'm a basketball junkie, and I practiced law with Duncan Beagle for almost 11 years. So, he's a basketball junkie. I wouldn't have been able to go back to the law office if I didn't vote for that money. And I represented a good part of Mount Morris Township, nearly the whole township. I think back to those days and I think of that investment, and I wonder why we don't keep that up. Let me ask you some other questions. Your father, was he a basketball coach?
No, my father wasn't a basketball coach. My family is originally from Mississippi. I'm not Mississippi, Memphis, down south Alabama. My father worked, my work ethic came from my father. I saw him wake up early, come in late. I saw him do things that he didn't necessarily want to do, but had a family to take care of. And so, he did what he had to do. My father was a workhorse, the kindest, most intelligent man I ever met. My father named Joseph Washington Jr. My dad, just the character. I learned about hard work. I learned how to have good character, but then I also learned the definition of love. And my father would give you the shirt off his back. Yeah. What I also learned from him, though, is the value of taking care of yourself. My father probably died at an early age because he didn't take care of himself, his health-wise. Doctor's visits, no exercise, not eating right. So I learned that too. But no, man, my dad was a workhorse, and he didn't play the radio. So, like I said, I'm the youngest of six boys.
He didn't play the radio.
He didn't play. I'm the youngest of six. That means that he didn't play around. He didn't have any.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I'm the youngest of six. His first set of three boys. By the time he got to me, he had no patience. He said something once. If it wasn't done, then it was hell to pay the captain. And
he had a lot of practice up to that point.
Yeah, he did. So I made sure that that was I always said it's two people that I feared. One was my father, and then the other one was the good Lord above.
Did any of your brothers play basketball?
Yep. The fourth one, Quentin Gray, he played at Beecher as well. He was on that 97, 98, those teams. And then my other brother was next to him. He was on the state championship team, or the state runner-up team in year 2000 with Brandon Stewart, Joe Brown, David Grant, my brother Keenan Gray, those guys. So those two played before me here at Beecher. All of us wore the same number. Putting on that, coming to Beecher and playing in the program at that time was like a rite of passage. It was like a brotherhood, a secret society, a sacred brotherhood to play behind my brothers. Actually, Keenan, who's next to me, he was a senior when I was a freshman. At that time, we had three programs. We had the freshman program, the JV program, and varsity program. Well, at the end of the year, they would bring the best freshmen and JV players up to varsity. So I actually got to play with my brother in some tournament.
What does Beecher mean to you, Marquise?
It means everything. Part of the reason why I do what I do and why I came back is because, I said this before in other interviews, I owe this community. I was the kid that would run around the neighborhood and everybody knew me and everybody loved me. And I would be at your house by the time you got from work, and I'll be in your refrigerator and eating and sitting on your couch as if I lived there. But the whole community accepted me. At that time, it was kids being kids. Wasn't no technology, wasn't no cell phone, wasn't no Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or any of that stuff. It was kids outside playing. So if we're at my house and you live on across the street, you're at my house, the same rules that, I abide by, you abide by, and vice versa. And so when it was dinner time at my house and you were at my house, you ate. If it was dinner time and I was at your house, I ate. And so it was really a close-knit community. It means everything to me because in each and every one of these kids, I see myself.
It still is a close-knit community.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is. It's a very close-knit community, and we make sure that we take care of our own.
And there's some great people that have worked there, like you said.
Yep.
Larry Foster, Franklin, a lot of good coaches, including Mr. Lacey, who's one of my personal favorites.
Yep.
Anyway, he's right up there with Jack Pratt in my mind as one of the best coaches. But let me go on from there. You hung around Beecher a long time, but you went off to Michigan State. Wonderful place to go to college.
Yeah, it was.
I know that because that's also where I went.
Okay.
I taught there actually, Marquise. I did teach there.
Really?
From 1979 till 1982.
Oh, wow.
In the School of Business. So you went off to Michigan State. You were recruited by Tom Izzo, I take it?
Yes. So let me backtrack and put it in perspective a little bit. When I came on the scene in the year 2000, 3 guys from here, from Flint, had just won the national championship. And year before that, the 4 guys went to a Final Four: Antonio Smith, King Cleaves, Morris Peterson, Charlie Bell. Once I kind of became one of the guys that were, looked at as potentially the next guy from here as far as basketball, those guys embraced me. So those guys won in 2000. In 2001, the National Gatorade Player of the Year, Kelvin Tolbert, went to Michigan State. And so 2001, 2002 was kind of when I really breakout years for me. And when I kind of separated myself from my peers and my competition as far as basketball. And I was the next guy to be in line, the Flint pipeline to go there. For me, it was a no-brainer.
You were a Flintstone.
Yep, no-brainer. I just watched 3 guys who I hang out with. And with those guys, when they would come home in the summer, they would, hey, this is where we playing at. They would come pick me up, and you in the gym with us. You don't have a choice. You in the gym with us, okay?
You don't have a choice when Mateen Cleaves tells you to get your ass to the gym.
No, you don't have a choice. I loved it because it was a brotherhood, and not only myself. So I was the youngest in there, but so those 4 guys in there: Antonio, Mateen, Charlie, and Morris. So those guys. Then you got Kelvin Tolbert in the gym with us. And then people forget his name, but you got Matt Trannon in there. You got Deontay Harvey. You got Corey Hightower in the gym. You got
Trannon was a beast.
He was a beast. You got him in the gym. You got William Hattrick in the gym. You got Gregory Burks in the gym. I'm the youngest of all those guys, but they embraced me. And so what happened was,
is there a style of Flint basketball?
Gritty.
Yeah. Go ahead with your story. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Gritty. No, it's gritty. Corey Santee used to be in those runs. And like I said, I'm the youngest and all that. Those guys were already off and on to college. I'm the next guy that's coming up. Those guys embraced me. They took me in. We used to play the game. Every game was like game 7 of the finals.
You did actually make it to a finals.
Yep. We did.
Tell us about that one.
Man, it was an unforgettable time because it's kind of like a storybook kind of a thing where you have a Final Four in your backyard, right? You playing at Michigan State. The Final Four is in Detroit that year. This is 2009. Final Four teams was us, North Carolina, UConn, and Villanova. We played against UConn in that first the semifinals. So they have AJ Price, Kemba Walker, Hasheem Thabit, God rest his soul, Stanley Roberts. And we were locked and loaded that game. And we went out, literally, we kicked their ass.
Yeah.
And then
who was your teammates?
Goran Sutan, Travis Walton, Kalen Lucas, Chris Allen, Idong Ibach, Draymond Green. We call him Day-Day, though. Delvon Rowe, Raymar Morgan, Corey Lucius was on that team too. So we had a really, really like solid group of guys.
Was Draymond Green like with Team Cleves? Did he tell everybody what to do?
No. Day was nothing like he is now. But we saw that potential in him. It's just we were seniors, we were a little older. But what Day did do was was a X factor because he could pass it. Same stuff he do now. He could pass it. He could dribble it. He could set the offense up. His shot wasn't as good as it is now, but he could hit an open shot. Yeah. And what he was a mismatch problem because people forget Draymond was a little chubby, pudgy guy. So he looked like he couldn't move, but he could move.
Yeah, he played against my boys' basketball team, Powers.
Yep, he could move, and then
he was a handful.
Yep, he was a handful. Knew how to use his body, crafty, always around the ball.
Yeah. You guys weren't successful against North Carolina, sort of the same story, different year. Yeah. But you went on and you had quite an experience for yourself. I interviewed a while back Marty Embry. I don't know, but
I know Marty.
Flint Central star.
Who
you sort of took after and followed in his footsteps in some ways because you went and traveled. Tell us what happened after that championship game and you went off to see the world.
So before I went off to see the world, though, I was a free agent with the Pistons. So in 2009, I played summer league training camp with Detroit. And then when I got cut from Detroit, I went abroad. So I traveled. First stop was Israel. Then from Israel, I went to Turkey. And then from Turkey, I went to Poland. And then Poland to Mexico. And then Mexico back to Turkey. And then Turkey to Japan. And then spent 2 years in Japan. And then I ended the last stint when I retired in Turkey. So I traveled. And I loved every second and every minute of it.
Just to be clear, you were playing professional basketball in these
various countries.
And we're running short of time, but I'd like to ask you a couple other questions. You later got involved in working with troubled youth.
Yep. So my degree from Michigan State was in social services. So when I first retired, I was a supervisor and counselor for the Boys and Girls Club. I started to get into social services kind of that way. But then I kind of saw a need around at different schools and stuff. And so I kind of got involved into the school system. And, that's where I've been ever since.
And you came back to Beecher at one point as an assistant coach under, was it Coach Williams?
Yep, Coach Mike Williams. I got back. So how that happened was he always used to invite me to practice, tell me to come when I was home from playing overseas or like in the summertime. So, and when I retired, he would tell me, come to practice, man. And at first I fought him on it because I'm like, I just got done playing basketball. I don't want to I'm about to relax and do what normal people do. I went the first time. He didn't really have to say anything. It was my natural inclination to teach. And he allowed me to have the floor. And then so this was at the beginning of the season. About 3 weeks straight, I was at every practice. It was the day before the game. He threw me a shirt and said, we wear black slacks. And I'm looking at the shirt. I'm like, why you throw me this? He said, dude, you a coach. I said, I ain't no coach. He said, you've been at every practice and you've been doing instruction and breakdown drills and all that stuff. You a coach, dude. And I thought about it like, man, I never really looked at it like that. And man, that was in 2015. And I've been hooked ever since.
Now you became the head coach, not before your teams won several state championships in a row.
Yep. Yeah. We won.
How many in a row did they win?
We won 3 back-to-back. We three-peated, and then we won again in 17. And then in 21, we won it again. And then this year, I became the head coach. And I was a part of, those teams.
Now, when did you become the head coach?
This year, 22.
Okay.
Yep. So, this was my first year head coaching, but I've been coaching with this program, Beecher program, since 2015.
All right, Marquise, I'm going to have you twice because we're almost out of time here, but I want to ask you one last question.
Go ahead.
I will end on this one. What was it like after all those years playing in the Breslin to walk back into the Breslin with these teams as many times as you did? What was it like to go back to the place where you really grew as a man?
It was like a homecoming. And what made it even better was I was doing it with kids that are from the same community and grew up how I grew up. And then also, I kind of, our team, the teams that I was a part, we left legacy. We got 2 Final Fours, 2 Big Ten championships, and the national championship appearance. So every time I go back, I look up at the in the rafters, and in the banners, you see those. I mean, in the rafters, you see those banners, and it's an amazing feeling. And I'm able to tell those guys stories about those teams and how we persevered and how we got over. And it kind of translates, onto the court and to them.
Marquise Gray, you have an amazing life story, and you're an amazing person. You are an amazing young man. I remember attending a luncheon with you and Judge Beagle.
Yep.
And I said to him after that was over, I said, this guy is going to do some wonderful things in his life.
I appreciate it, man. I really do.
Yeah.
Appreciate your support.
Well, I'm honored you would take a few minutes to talk to me on my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I wish you all the best with your Beecher Buccaneers, and I'm hoping this year I can get a game in or 2 before I head back to St. Pete here.
You let me know whenever you want to come, and I got you covered, man.
Thank you for joining me, Marquise.